YIN had always admired BTS, the most popular and admired boys in school. They seemed like they had everything: looks, talent, and confidence. From the moment she transferred to the school, she found herself drawn to them, particularly Jungkook. The youngest, with his quiet intensity, always caught her attention. Despite their popularity, YN felt there was more to them. She believed they weren't just the arrogant bullies everyone made them out to be. But as she began to make an effort to get closer to them, she started to realize how wrong she was. LYN wasn't someone who stood out. She was quiet, focused on her studies, and had a small circle of friends. But every time BTS walked by, she couldn't help but steal a glance. The way they seemed to effortlessly draw everyone's attention was something she admired from a distance. It wasn't long before YN's heart started to race every time Jungkook entered a room. She had developed a crush, a deep one. He wasn't just popular, he was kind, at least from what she had seen. Sometimes he smiled at her, and in her heart, she believed there was something there, something waiting to blossom. YN knew it wasn't easy, but she was determined to make him notice her. Every day she put in a little more effort. She dressed a little nicer, tried to walk by them in the hallways, and even smiled at him when their eyes met. She thought that maybe, just maybe, she was getting through to him. But BTS had a reputation for being untouchable, and they weren't always kind. They had their moments of mocking and teasing, and YN had seen them make fun of other students. Still, she convinced herself that they would be different with her. It was the week of the school festival, and YN saw it as her chance. She knew BTS would be participating in the music performances, and she volunteered to help with the event just to be around them. She spent hours after school, hanging around the auditorium, hoping to catch Jungkook's attention. One afternoon, while she was helping to organize the event, she spotted Jungkook practicing with the others. Gathering all her courage, she approached them during a break, holding out a bottle of water. Hi, YN stammered, smiling shyly. I thought you guys might need some water after practicing so hard. The boys paused, looking at her. Jungkook smiled politely, taking the water, but it was Taehyung who spoke first. Thanks, I guess, he said, though his tone didn't match the gratitude. YN's heart fluttered at Jungkook's smile, but something about the way the others exchanged glances made her feel uneasy. Yeah, thanks, Jimin added, though there was a mocking edge to his voice. YN forced a smile, trying not to overthink it. She turned to walk away, hoping she hadn't embarrassed herself too much. As she walked out of the auditorium, she couldn't help but feel like something was off. The next day, YN was walking past the auditorium when she heard familiar voices. It was BTS, gathered together during a break. She hesitated, her heart racing as she wondered if she should go in and offer to help again. Maybe she could catch Jungkook's eye once more. But then she heard her name. Did you see YN yesterday? Taehyung's voice was unmistakable. Oh yeah, with the water bottles, Jimin replied, laughing. She's trying way too hard. YN froze, her heart dropping to her stomach. They were talking about her. Yeah, I've seen her around, Namjoon said, his voice more serious. She's always lurking, like she's trying to get our attention. I don't get it, Jin added, shaking his head. She thinks just because she smiles and hands us water that we'll suddenly be interested? Jungkook, the one she had admired the most, said nothing at first. But then, he sighed. She's nice, but it's not like she stands a chance. She's kind of invisible. YN's world shattered. She stood frozen, her breath catching in her throat as tears filled her eyes. The boy she had a crush on, the one she thought might have liked her back, had just reduced her to nothing. Her hands trembled as she hurried away before they could see her. The sound of their laughter followed her down the hall, cutting deeper than any words ever had. For days, YN couldn't bring herself to face them. She avoided the auditorium, skipped the festival events, and buried herself in schoolwork to forget the pain. But no matter how hard she tried, their words echoed in her mind. Invisible. It was worse than being bullied directly, being seen as someone not even worth their time or attention. She had never felt so small. One afternoon she sat in the corner of the library, her heart heavy as she scribbled absent-mindedly in her notebook. She didn't want to cry anymore, but the pain was still fresh. Suddenly she heard a familiar voice. Y or N? She looked up to see Jungkook standing in front of her, looking awkward and unsure. He scratched the back of his neck, his eyes avoiding hers. "Can I sit?" he asked. YN stared at him for a moment, not sure if she wanted him to, but she nodded, and he took a seat across from her. I wanted to talk to you," Jungkook started, his voice soft. "I've noticed you've been avoiding us. I wanted to check if everything's okay." YN almost laughed at the irony. They had been the ones to tear her down, and now here he was asking if she was okay. "Why do you care?" YN asked, her voice tinged with bitterness. She had never spoken to him like this before, but the pain pushed her too. Jungkook blinked, surprised by her tone. We didn't mean to hurt you, YN." "You didn't mean to?" YN repeated, her voice shaking. "You and the others, you were laughing at me. You called me invisible." Jungkook winced, guilt flooding his face. "I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't realize you heard that." "I did," YN said, her eyes filling with tears she didn't want to show. I thought maybe you were different. I thought I could get to know you, but all of you. You just see me as a joke." Jungkook's expression softened, and for the first time, YN saw real regret in his eyes. "You're not a joke, YN. I know we were wrong. I should have spoken up. I should have stopped them, but I didn't, and I'm sorry." There was a long pause as YN struggled to hold back her tears. She had never expected him to apologize, but it didn't erase the hurt she had felt. "Why did you say it then?" she whispered. "Why didn't you stop them?" Jungkook sighed, running a hand through his hair. Sometimes we say things because we're afraid. I guess I didn't want to seem weak in front of the others, but I never meant to hurt you. I don't think you're invisible, YN. I noticed you from the start." YN blinked, surprised. "You noticed me?" Jungkook nodded, a small, shy smile playing on his lips. "I did, and I'm really sorry for what I said. We all are." The next day, something unexpected happened. As YN walked into the school courtyard, she saw the rest of BTS waiting for her. They weren't laughing or joking around like they usually did. Instead, they looked serious, even nervous. Namjoon was the first to step forward. "YN, we've been talking and we realized we really messed up. We never meant to hurt you and we're sorry." Taehyung nodded, looking genuinely regretful. "We were being idiots. You didn't deserve any of that." Jimin, who had been the loudest of the group when they mocked her, stepped forward next. "We thought we were just joking around, but we didn't realize how much it hurt you. I'm really sorry, YN." Y or N stood there staring at them in disbelief. She had never expected an apology, let alone one from all of them. Her heart, which had been heavy with hurt for so long, began to lighten. "You really hurt me," she admitted, her voice soft. I thought you were different. I thought you were better than that." Jungkook, standing beside the others, looked at her with those deep, sincere eyes. "We want to be better, and we want to make it up to you." There was a long pause before YN finally nodded. Okay, YN didn't expect things to change overnight, but the apologies felt genuine. After years of being an outsider, feeling invisible to everyone, she was suddenly noticed. Not in the way she had initially hoped, but in a way that felt more meaningful. Over the next few weeks, BTS made a conscious effort to be kind to her. It started small. Jungkook would greet her in the mornings, giving her that shy smile that always made her heart flutter. Taehyung and Jimin would wave when they passed her in the hallway, and Namjoon would occasionally sit with her in the library to talk about books or school projects. Slowly, they began to include her in their group conversations and made sure she never felt left out. At first, it was awkward. YN wasn't sure if she could trust their intentions, afraid that it was all an act, just another way to make her feel small. But over time, she realized they were sincere, They genuinely wanted to make things right. One day during lunch, Jin surprised her by sitting next to her in the cafeteria. "Hey," he said with a smile, nudging her tray with his elbow. "Mind if I join you?" YN blinked, still not used to their attention. Sure."